You know, some people say power corrupts, but I always thought it was the perfume, that cheap, choking perfume mixed with desperation and a bad attitude. That's what really corrupts a person. Or maybe I just learned that the hard way when I came home to my family's old cabin and got screamed at by a woman in designer heels standing on my porch, waving papers in my face and declaring herself the government. And yeah, I mean, literally she said it. I am the government here. This is my valley and you need to get out. Right then I figured, wow, either I'd accidentally walked onto the set of some reality show or my 3 years away had let things get way weirder than I ever imagined. But before you ask, no, I didn't punch her. And no, she wasn't drunk. Just Brenda, the self-appointed president of an HOA that didn't actually exist. She had condemnation notices fake, by the way, accusing me of racking up 15 grand in emergency fees on my granddad's 1934 homestead. The perfume, the threats, the way her heels stabbed little dents in my porch, it all hit me at once. But the real punch was in my mouth, you know, that taste metal like biting down on a penny, the anticipation of something bad about to happen. You ever have one of those moments when you realize someone thinks they know exactly who they're dealing with, but you're about to change the whole script on them? That's where I was. And I gotta admit, I had a little fun with it. I said something I don't even remember what, honestly, but whatever it was, it made Brenda's face go sheet white. Maybe you've seen that look on someone. Makes you want to grin, doesn't it? But let me back up because none of this makes sense until you get the whole picture. Why was this woman standing on my porch yelling about government and fake HO? As who did she think I was? And what kind of operation did she have going out here in the Colorado mountains? Name's Jake Thornfield, Staff Sergeant 34. For the last 3 years, I'd been away deployment, then just away. The cabin wasn't some weekend spot to me. It was my grandfather Ezra's legacy. He built it in the 30s, cut every log himself, hauled every stone for the chimney. It's the kind of place that makes you breathe deeper. Just being there, you know, wraparound porch, nothing but trees and silence. But here's the secret sauce. Ezra was a record-keeping maniac. Every claim, every acre, every little boundary marker was filed away in old metal cabinets that probably weighed more than I do. I mean, the guy didn't trust banks, didn't trust government, barely trusted people, but he trusted paperwork. Thank God for that, as you'll see. Anyway, I'd left a neighbor, Hank, to keep an eye on things. Hank's a Vietnam vet, tough as they come, and has this way of making you feel safe with just the smell of pipe tobacco and grease. What neither of us expected suburban Karen warfare. Enter Brenda. Now Brenda, she's from Denver. Moved in with her permanently startled husband, Lloyd. No kids all the time in the world and apparently nothing better to do than invent an HOA for a place that's as far from suburbia as you can get. She convinced some new folks we needed professional management, then started marching around like she owned the valley. She'd show up in heels tape measure, dangling like a sheriff's badge leather folder under her arm, knocking on doors and leaving violation notices. She even hit my place 6 months after I left, snapping pictures and scribbling notes as if she was conducting some secret government investigation. First move, fake paperwork. Real nice looking stuff, seals, letterhead, all that. She got a few elderly neighbors to sign a petition demanding action against my hazardous cabin. Here's what made my blood boil while I was dodging bullets overseas. She charged me 12 grand in fake fees, claimed I made unauthorized modifications to a cabin that hadn't changed since FDR was in office. Penalties for failing community standards. All that, and I never even got a notice because, you know, kind of busy not getting shot at. But it gets darker. Brenda didn't stop with me. She targeted 2 other military families while they were deployed. Scared a Navy couple into selling for peanuts. Drove an Army family to abandon their home with months of harassment. You ever get so angry your mouth fills with that metallic taste? That's how I felt. But here's the thing about people like Brenda. They assume always that you're just another isolated target. They think if I make enough noise, throw enough paper, you'll fold. What she didn't know. My family wasn't just some random cabin in the woods. We had roots so deep she couldn't even see the taproot, let alone rip it out. She didn't know who she was dealing with, and I was about to show her. So 2 weeks after I got back, I'm on the porch with my coffee, just soaking up the view. That's when I hear engines, more than one. 3 vehicles in a little parade, one of them an official-looking county truck. Out steps Brenda, dressed for court, followed by a nervous guy in khakis, clutching a clipboard like it's a bulletproof vest. Brenda makes a beeline for me. Mr. Thornfield, this is Gary from County Inspection. We're here for your overdue structural assessment. Gary's sweating buckets. Brenda's pointing at everything listing violations. Cracks in the stone structural risk. Old wiring fire hazard. She's narrating like she's on some HGTV show gone wrong. But Gary, man, I knew something was off. He's filling out citation forms before he's even looked at the place. Then as he bends over to inspect the foundation, a receipt slips from his pocket, $500 paid by B. Weatherby for consulting. She literally paid this guy to condemn my cabin. I grab that receipt, play it cool. Let them finish their little performance. I get handed a citation declaring my cabin uninhabitable. Brenda's practically giddy, talking about demolition and public safety. But I keep that receipt evidence. That night I do my homework. Gary Hoffman, inspector, doesn't even have the right certification. He can't condemn anything more serious than an ungrounded outlet. I report him for fraud and bribery, State Board DA Inspector General. In Colorado, bribing an official can get you 5 years. The county reviews my case, throws out Brenda's condemnation. My granddad's cabin is as solid as ever. Gary gets his license yanked in a week. But does Brenda back down? Not a chance. She files a police report, claims I threatened her during the inspection. She's got the neighbors worked up, drives by constantly snapping photos, calling in complaints. I start documenting everything, building a case file that would make the FBI proud. Then comes round 2. Brenda, her lawyer, a discount sleazeball named Ricky, plus some bewildered old neighbors show up at my porch. Ricky hands me a thick stack of legal papers citing violations under Pine Ridge Mountain Estates, HOA. Wrong acreage, wrong sections, even the wrong county listed half the time. I spot his bar number, look it up. He's not only not licensed in Colorado, he's been disbarred in California for, you guessed it, real estate fraud. I point this out, he scurries off like a rat. The neighbors, turns out Brenda tricked them into signing what they thought was a neighborhood watch petition. Never attended a meeting, never joined an HOA. Brenda's whole empire, papier-mâché and pure imagination. So I file new complaints, explain to the neighbors. One, Mrs. Henderson, starts crying, not out of fear, but because she realized she'd been used. Ricky, the fake lawyer, disappears. The bar association starts circling. But Brenda, she doubles down. Next, she calls my military chain of command. Claims I'm unstable, dangerous, a threat to the community. She knows how to play the system, throwing around words like PTSD, hoping to ruin my life. And you know what? That's when it went from personal to nuclear. Brenda locks me out of my own land, puts a shiny new chain and sign on my gate, private property, by order of Pine Ridge HOA. She's got some contractor out there, sledgehammer in hand, destroying my fence, shouting about public easements and environmental protection. Brenda's making up government agencies as she goes waving fake papers around like she's starring in her own fantasy courtroom drama. But I learned something during deployment, document everything. I pull out my phone record, her trespassing, her orders to the contractor, the damage. Then I install trail cameras, just like overseas, motion activated all around the perimeter. And what do I catch on video? Brenda's husband, Lloyd, bolt cutters in hand, moving boundary markers at 2 a.m., with Brenda coaching him over the radio, trying to set up for adverse possession, planting fake evidence for a land grab. I take the video to Sheriff Tom Goodguy, actually. He reviews the footage, shakes his head, tells me what I already know. Brenda's crossed the line from civil nuisance into straight-up felony territory, fraud, conspiracy, property destruction, bribery. And does she back off? No. She files more complaints, this time with the state police. Claims the sheriff is biased because I'm a veteran. I mean, the woman organizes a town meeting about veteran extremism in the valley, all while committing felonies in the dark. She's living in a world of her own, convinced she's the hero fighting some evil cabal of military men. But the real turning point, my grandfather's paperwork. I spent days digging through old metal cabinets surrounded by the smell of cedar paper and old leather. And what do I find? The original 1934 deed, not a copy. Hand-drawn survey lines, land office seals. But more than that, mineral rights. My family owns not just the land, but everything underneath. And not just the 800-odd acres. I thought we've got 2,400 acres of mineral rights stretching under the whole valley, including every property in Brenda's made-up HOA. And get this, geological surveys from the 60s showing natural gas deposits. Today's value, about $4.2 million. Developers who subdivided the land back in the 70s sold only the surface rights. Subsurface rights stayed with us. Brenda and her gang owned their houses, but not the dirt beneath. Any drilling, any resource extraction, my say. I take all this to a real attorney, Sarah Palmer, sharp as a tack, and as it turned out, my future wife. We plot a three-pronged attack, quiet title lawsuit to establish mineral rights, federal criminal referral for targeting military families, and a civil suit for damages and fraud. Oh, and just for good measure, we plan to go public town hall, TV, news, the whole 9 yards. Brenda's crew. Meanwhile, they're getting desperate. She vandalizes my truck, starts an actual smear campaign, calls my old teachers, my commanders, the VA, paints me as a violent, unstable vet. But my trail cams catch the real twist. Buck Morrison, land acquisition guy from Mountain Vista Energy, the company Brenda's husband works for. Turns out, Mountain Vista is bankrolling Brenda's whole operation, trying to bully me into selling out so they can drill. Buck shows up with an offer, 50 grand cash. Take it or else. Starts threatening accidents, local hazards, the kind of stuff you don't say unless you think you're untouchable. But I record it, file it with the FBI. Threatening a witness in a federal case, not smart. Brenda's not done. She poisons my water supply, literally dumps drain cleaner in the spring. Then she tries to bribe the sheriff, offers 10 grand to have me arrested for terrorism. My cameras catch Mountain Vista's goons meeting at my gate plotting accidents. They show up at 2 a.m., SUVs, music, air horns trying to break me down. But I call in backup sheriff, state police, and they scatter. Brenda goes full tilt, tries to burn my cabin down. But every move, every crime, every lie caught on camera, documented, filed. The final showdown town hall meeting. Whole community shows up, TV cameras rolling, FBI agents in the back, sheriff standing by with handcuffs. Brenda storms in, starts ranting about me, the veteran extremist, waving fake photos and paperwork. I stand up, lay out my grandfather's deed maps, mineral rights survey reports, geological studies right there for everyone. I play the audio of Brenda and Buck plotting, show video of Lloyd cutting my fence. Sarah presents the legal pattern of fraud. Sheriff Tom steps up, cuffs Brenda. Right there, reads off the charges: fraud, extortion, bribery, conspiracy, attempted murder by water poisoning. The whole room's silent. Brenda, still shouting about conspiracies, gets let out in handcuffs. Lloyd apologizes to everyone, says he just wanted to retire. Buck tries to slip out the back, gets nabbed by the feds. After all that, Brenda gets 3 years in federal prison. Mountain Vista goes bankrupt. The feds uncover similar scams in 12 states, leads to new laws protecting military families. My case becomes a law school example of how to not get scammed by fake authority. But the best part, I used the settlement money to set up the Ezra Thornfield Environmental Fund, put the whole valley under conservation, no drilling, no development. We set up scholarships for kids of military families. The community center runs on solar, hosts workshops for veterans, hosts Thornfield Day every year to teach people about property rights and fraud prevention. Sarah and I got married by the spring. Brenda tried to poison Clean Clear and ours again. Hank runs the workshop, gives tours. The valley's a model for how to protect your land and your people. So, look, let me leave you with this. It wasn't aggression or muscle that won this fight. It was my grandfather's obsessive records and my willingness to actually dig through the dirty old paperwork. Most people never bother. That's what scammers count on. Fake bosses and fake documents only work when you don't check the facts. Think about your own property, your own HOA. Are you sure what you own who really has authority? Or are you just trusting that the loudest person in the room knows what they're talking about? So here's my challenge. Take 1 hour this week. Go research your property rights, your HOA, your boundaries. You might be surprised what you find. And for the folks who've tangled with HO, as what's the most ridiculous rule or scam you've run into, I want to hear your stories. Where do you draw the line between real authority and just someone playing dress-up with a clipboard? Remember, real power doesn't have to shout. It just shows up with the right paperwork. And sometimes that's all it takes to win.